everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. And you guys, our guest today, my heart is just, my whole body has chills. I'm just so thrilled to be interviewing Traci Derwin. And she has been sharing so much information about what's happening in Maui. And Traci, I just want to thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining me on this interview today.
Of course, and thank you for all of your work too. I've watched everything, so I really appreciate what you do as well.
It's quite the journey. It's quite the journey. And you live in California now, but you were born on the islands. Can you share a
I
little bit about
was,
that?
yeah, right. So I was born and raised on Oahu. I grew up in Kaneohe, went to school in Honolulu, and after high school, I came to California for college, and I never went back to live. So my dad and his family is from Honolulu, and my mom is from Los Angeles. So that's kind of how that happened. But I had a beauty channel for 2 years. But when I heard about the details coming out about the fires, I just started to get so angry and just like I just basically angry at what I was hearing. And so I made a video. I made two videos. I wanted people to know, the significance of it because I don't think the mainstream was doing a good job at explaining just how important Lahaina is to the state, the
Hmm.
history, how this would have such a devastating impact on the state. And now that I've like investigated more on the world and how it's such a big turning point, but not really in a good way. But my goal is to somehow make this a learning experience for as many people as possible so they could wake up and realize what's really going on and what is really behind this horrible tragedy. Digging into it, I just find out so much, for the most part, not good things, but I think it's just so important that as many people know because I wasn't aware of the depth of these problems that have been going on, and I live there. I thought everything was fine. I didn't realize there was corruption or these evil forces going on, but I've learned so much, and it would just I in my mind it would be a shame to not tell as many people as possible. So
Yeah.
that's really why I've been sticking with it.
So I'd love to start with letting people know about Lahaina. Because Lahaina was the first capital. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about why and how Lahaina is so really amazingly, it's the center of these Hawaii Islands?
Right. So before King Kamehameha united the well eight islands, we can't go to them all now because of what people have done to them. But the islands were ruled by their own kings and queens, and King Kamehameha the First, or he's also known as King Kamehameha the Great, united all the islands into one kingdom, and he made Lahaina the capital of the kingdom. For many reasons, the abundance that it had at that time, the location, Maui is kind of central to the other islands. And I don't have like actual proof, but I feel like it's kind of a very spiritually significant part of not just the state but of the world.
Hmm.
And um, yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. I didn't really understand quite until I looked into it, but that was one thing when I was first learning about it. Just looking at the entire state and the entire like how big Maui is. I mean, some people think these islands are small. Maui's a fairly big island, and Lahaina is a very small town. So it just made me think that there was something wrong. Just learning that it was Lahaina that burned,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's one of the most, if not the most, historical cities or towns in the state.
And they couldn't really build on Lahaina because of that, because of the historicalness of that town. And
Right.
so now they can, but they couldn't back then. And
Yeah.
you know that Maui is set to be the first smart city, and they had well, did you know about that? And the Oriental Corridor, which is the transportation that they wanted to do, was going right through Lahaina. I don't know
No,
if you
I
knew
didn't
about that.
know. No, I
Okay,
didn't know.
I'll see if I can find the information about that and show it to you. But so
Okay.
when did you start to realize, okay, something's wrong? Like when you heard about the Lahaina fires, when did something trigger, like go, oh, it's okay, wait a minute, this doesn't sound
About
right.
Yeah, about a week after, about mid-August, it kind of started brewing in my mind. Like, so many things went wrong. I just find it just hard to believe that it just happened on accident. I know that I've heard the sirens go off many times.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they work just fine. You can hear it um, on Oahu. You can hear it very well.
So what
You're
she's talking about, everybody, is the sirens for the tsunamis. They're tested every first, I think it's first Sunday of the month. They test them every first Sunday. So they were absolutely working just fine.
Right. And also, if you lived in Hawaii back in like the 80s and 90s, we got all of these. Well, back then we didn't have cell phones, but the TV would go on emergency alert, testing the emergency alert all the time. And to know that in this day and age in 2023, neither of those happened was like a huge red flag, because I know in that sense Hawaii has it together, because they're so prone to natural disasters. And then I heard the excuse that Herman and Daya gave, that he didn't want people to think it was a tsunami. I knew right away that was an excuse. It's just
Well, that is the most ridiculous thing
not.
I've ever heard. Like I didn't put the siren on because I was afraid people would run into the fire. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, so when you started doing these interviews, what did you start to notice? Like what, because you said that you didn't know about the corruption here on the islands, and what did you start to learn?
Well, so kind of understanding like my cultural upbringing. I'm Japanese Hawaiian, Japanese born and raised in Hawaii. I understand, and I don't want to speak for, all Japanese, but I feel like there was this idea of content, like be happy, you are alive, you're living in paradise, let the government do what they do. And I kind of just felt that way for most of my life. It wasn't really until this event that I looked into how decisions were being made, who the people were making these decisions. And I understood, and I'm guilty of this, that the most people living on Oahu and in the state probably are not keeping up to date with the political changes and all of these things being done behind the scenes. And I just think it at this point in history, it's just it's just so important to know these things, because look at what happened, you know. So I'm mainly focusing on Maui, seeing how the county committee or the Maui City Council,
Yeah.
how they're voting. I've been looking at that and how they're voting against the people's interest,
Yes.
and how they're and there's so many cases of bribery that have been going on. And even though people are persecuted and went to court and plead guilty, a lot of these people are still in their positions, and these same things continue to happen. And I don't think many people know that that's happening. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I know there was a man who was being paid tons of money from developers to, or not developers, from contractors to, and this was a government official, to hire without taking other bids from multiple agencies,
Oh,
being paid under the table to choose them to carry out these multi-million dollar development programs or projects. And it's something that could so, I think if the public knew, it would be resolved fairly quickly. But that term, when the cat is away, the mice tend to play. I
Yeah.
think that's been going on for some time. And I just felt very passionate about sharing what I've been hearing. And because I had the channel, I had a little bit of a platform to do that. And so I felt like I was in a position, I was very fortunate to be in the position I was to let as many people know. And I was expecting to be called crazy,
Mm.
like, oh, that's just nonsense. That was my expectation, but the reaction was quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And that really changed my life and gave me some confidence to just go for it, just let everyone know exactly how I think. And it's been working out fine so far. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
been
was the same
getting in
way.
trouble.
I was the same way because I thought, okay, if I tell people this was an attack, I don't want to disrespect and dishonor the people that have died in this fire, and it's a land grab. But I just had to. I was the same way. I was like, for me, I had to do it. And then as soon as I did it, so many people were like, yes, yes, yes. I was so when you look at the fires, what do you want to tell people? I've seen a lot of your videos just showing that that Maui was attacked, and I would love to share just a quick screen share. So let me just tell you one other thing too. I've asked Mayor Roth, who is the mayor of the Big Island, for an interview, and he's agreed to that. And I sent him the video that I'm a part of the video that I'm going to show you, which is showing the weather modification. I don't know if you saw the weather
Yeah.
modification that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked, he doesn't believe it. He wants to know the credentials of the guy who was sharing this, and also where we got that and where we got that satellite images, because it is hard to believe. It's hard to believe when you're in the system and you're wanting to believe that the government has your back. Then it's hard to believe that they don't, and that they are people that literally don't care if our ohana are literally murdered. When you hear about the blockades of people not being allowed to escape, do you know anybody personally who actually has video of that or has talked about that at all?
About the police blocking.
Yeah.
Um, Most of what I have, I've shared on my channel. So, and I didn't get anyone, I don't think that was a personal, it was things that other people had shared that brought to, I wanted to let everyone know that there was proof of that. I heard about it in an interview on Eric's channel, Hawaii Real Estate. And I was skeptical at first because that in itself is hard to believe, but
It's
the
hard to believe.
videos started coming out, and then so many people started coming out and saying, yes, I was stuck in that. I went off road and I survived. And that was one of the nails in the coffin that made me realize like this is absolutely planned. And there was not only was this a planned attack on the town, but it was also a very coordinated attempt to um, just to end the lives of as many people as possible. And that's another thing. I know a lot of people, they still haven't um, come to terms with that because it is such an atrocious thing to think about.
Yeah.
But it's important that this is known and it's
Yep.
not considered conspiracy.
Yep. So I'd love to share. I'm going to do a quick share screen and just show you guys. This is the video I did with Bruce in Maui, and he has been studying the weather on the islands for over 15 years. And this was August 7th is this one here.
Clouds making wave patterns coming in lines, like ocean
Yep.
waves coming at us all lined up. And by the afternoon of the 7th, it was totally pronounced, very.
But take a look at this. These waves stop at the Hawaii Islands, and then it goes nothing. So this is what he's going to talk about briefly.
unusual, not like I've seen this where wave after line of cloud comes as a wave. And what's even more curious is that the clouds don't go, these wave pattern clouds don't go past the Hawaiian Islands. They stop right at the Hawaiian Islands.
Wow.
And don't go past it. I'm going to back up and look at the morning of it as well. And you can see the same pattern there where it comes right up to Hawaii and then doesn't go past it. And you look to the north and south, the same pattern happens. And normally you'd see them, they just pass right through the Hawaiian Islands and keep on going. But I've never seen this pattern of lines perfectly lined up like that in a perfect line before after 15 years of looking at weather satellite images.
That's crazy. So I wanted to share that. And then I do want to share, Traci, I don't know if you've seen standtogetherhawaii.com is the site where I have all of this information with the Maui fires. And I wanted to share this because a lot of people go, and including our mayor, Big Island mayor, who has agreed to do an interview with me. So I will be getting him on this channel somehow. But if you scroll down, there's the weather, direct energy weapons. I'm going to share that in a second, but weather modification, this is an act. So people go, oh, weather modification, there's no such thing. You guys, this was passed in October 2nd or 13th, 1976. And this bill, let's see here, it's a review and analysis and research of efforts and needs in weather modification technology. This is a passed bill in Congress, that National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. So this is, it is a real thing. And then the other thing I wanted to share was this, which is a US patent showing an apparatus of that there is a US patent method and apparatus for altering region in the Earth, atmosphere, and ionosphere and magnetosphere. So this stuff is no joke. Maui was attacked, and the last thing I want to share, and then Traci, I'd like to get your opinion on this stuff. People go, oh, direct energy weapons. Oh, there was microwave. You guys are crazy, conspiracy theorists. There are direct energy weapons. Congress.gov, Direct Energy Weapon System Acquisition Act of 2016. So the Department of Defense may use specific rapid acquisition procedures to acquire and to deploy needed offensive and defensive direct energy weapon systems capabilities, supplies, associated support services. And then actually one more thing, because this is so crazy right here. And this is from the Defense Technology, I think it is. And sorry, my computer's going a little slow to pull it up. Hopefully it's still here, because this is a big one around using wildfires as a weapon. Using wildfires as a weapon. Defense Technical Information Center, forest fire as military weapon. So they have this capacity, you guys. They have this capability. And Traci, I don't know if you've seen those or not from my channel, but
no,
my website.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just kind of crazy because a lot of the, not just what you showed, but the microwave technology, these devices that were developed over the past, whatever, 30, 40 years, they're patented. And I think Raytheon owns the most of them. And you can see all the patents online as public information. I think what the government is trying to do is spin it in a way that makes us think that it's protecting us versus hurting us.
It always.
But it's quite the opposite. And that was a huge revelation for me, to come to the realization the government is not concerned with my life, whether I live or die. And maybe in some cases, they prefer we be dead. And, that was hard to take. And it still is. But that's huge. And, I think as many people as we can get to wake up to this, the better. And I guess another thing why I really like making these videos is I get to share my awakening with other people, because everyone is at a different level. Like I have some people who have been studying this for 40 years, some people who've never heard of a direct energy weapon. And I'm kind of closer to the earlier stage. You know, this was the event that allowed me to learn these things. And I think, you know, if you see someone else kind of going on this journey, maybe it would inspire other people to do their own research. There's so much to be learned, more than you and I could present, you know, in our lives. There's just too much.
It's true.
And you know, now I think what the huge difference that this fire has over the other tragedies, because you know this has happened before, is that now we have a camera and a video camera on our phone. Everyone has one, and this information is shared in an instant. And I don't think the authorities were quite prepared for how quickly and how easily this information would be shared. And you know, they're probably scrambling. Actually, in fact, they are scrambling. I saw a urgent, I can send it to you if you want, an urgent request for, there's 22 states that are trying to push for a law that allows the state to censor any social media platform. This just came out on the 8th of December. Did you hear about it? It's a coalition of states.
I just briefly, but I'm just like, that doesn't surprise me, because I got booted off of YouTube for like 2 sentences. One sentence was COVID, and somebody, and then my interview person was also talked about the vaccine. Barely anything. The whole thing was on Burn Back Better, the author who wrote Burn Back Better for Maui. So we just briefly touched on it because she has another platform, and then I get booted, and then I had a conversation with YouTube, and I called them a bunch of Nazis, and but that's coming. That's I was quite livid, and then I asked him too. I said, show me the proof that what we're saying is wrong. Show me the proof that what you're saying is correct. And so anyway, that's still in the works. But yes, no, I didn't know about that. You said 22 states have this law.
Well, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's a law, but it's a coalition that groups of states are going to push for a, you know, the power to do these things on their own, as opposed to waiting for the federal government, because the federal government's been doing it. I kind of caught on to that during the pandemic, but the states want their own power, and it's just coincidentally happened. This, you know, the state of Hawaii is now joining this movement, I guess, the censorship movement. You know, after this event happened, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they're really trying to shut people like us up.
I love what you said when you said people that, you know, we need to see what our government is doing. We need to take charge, and it's locally first, and then it's statewide. So what we're doing here on Big Island, we're being proactive with I don't want to talk too much about it because we haven't gotten to our city council members yet, but there is, you know, the mosquito that's coming, and so we're working on different things to keep this island safe. However, that's a whole nother topic around that. I don't know if you're familiar with what's happening with that, but yeah. So, but what you're saying around the government not being on our side, so what people, and what I learned a couple years ago was that the government is not a government. It's actually a corporation. So the US is incorporated. Hawaii State is incorporated. There's actually an EIN, and a government cannot be a corporation, but it is. It's for profit. The courts, all of the courts are for profit. When you go in there, the one thing that they want to do is just extract money from you. So that's all that they want to do, and they know you're afraid. So they know that you're going to do whatever they tell you to do. So our power is, I've been studying a lot about common law and understanding the language that we can use when we go into the court system to keep ourselves out of the system and not contract in, because the court system is all about contracts. And so that's what I have been learning and working on teaching now. But Traci, let's go back to Maui, because what what is it that people can do to support Lahaina, and what is happening in Lahaina? Do you have connections there now to know what people are
Yeah, a
doing?
little. I went about in wait, was it 2 months ago? I went so I can see for myself, and I did notice a kind of a paranoid, but apprehension of the people there to talk. I believe they're still in a media blackout. They're not allowed to talk to the media or express their stories. And that kind of feeds into this question I keep getting, like, how come there aren't more people looking for their children? I just think there's a lot of fear, and a lot of the people who are getting support from the federal government. I don't know this for a fact, but I think that comes with an agreement to not go to the press and express anything negative that's going on with them. But it's hard to stay positive because there's just so many people that are in need, and I understand a lot of people have already moved, and I don't blame them. I probably would too. And
Yeah.
something else that I keep forgetting to mention on my channel, but um, it's the whole island is suffering, especially like areas like Kihei. A lot of them know people who are still missing, and the tourism industry has led to a lot of job loss. So people are really struggling financially. And when I went there, there was very few tourists. I think it was officially open for tourism, not that you couldn't go anyways, but when I was speaking to the business owners, they did say that there's this like open air market. There was only one business open. All the kiosks, well, except for maybe two, all of them were closed. And they're actually going to tear down that building because it's just not profitable to maintain these structures. And so it's going to change the landscape of Maui for a long time. And this church that I gave some donations to from my viewers, that's what they said people need. You know, they're no longer working. They can't pay their cell phone. They can't pay for the insurance. They can't have a car. And, you know, and also rent is extremely high, just everything. And the food, I mean, everything in Hawaii is just more expensive. And so the whole island, from what I understand, is really suffering. And I don't see tourism coming back the way it was,
Yeah.
you know, and it's kind of a big question. Like, do we promote more tourism? I mean, that's what a lot of the people need. At the same time, do we see that as a way of disrespecting the loss and the suffering going on there by sending people to enjoy, you know, have fun in an area where so much death and destruction happened? And there's things that, you know, I don't like to go into things I don't have proof or a firsthand account, but I am hearing a lot of suicides have
I've
happened
heard
and
that
are
too.
still happening. I think people need to know that. It's been very, you know, very hush hush. I feel like a lot of these, what's really going on is being hidden. I saw this video a couple of days ago about how people that lost their homes and, you know, lost loved ones are having this great Christmas. You know, they have this, I mean, you know, maybe some of them are, but I don't think that's a good representation of kids enjoying their first Christmas after this fire. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that's a way of spinning, you know, the truth. But there's just so much that's needed there. And the federal government's made it pretty clear that they're not going to do much for them.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think they've been given any more after, as far as like direct cash payments. I don't think they've gotten any more than the
Yeah, I
$700.
was gonna say, yeah, the $700 per
Yeah.
family. Such an insult. It just, yeah. I want to show you one more thing on my site, and it's not coming up all the way. When I click on it, it doesn't show you this view. This is just the picture, and I'm sorry, but I can't make it bigger Lahaina roadmap. This orange, or I'm sorry, red is where the fire was. This is Lahaina here. This is the Oriental Corridor that they want to create, which is a transportation, riding bikes and, I think a train or something like that, that is right here. And this is where it burned, you guys. So this was Lahaina, and they could not have built this. They could not build this prior to the fires because of the historical zoning for it. But they can build it now. So this is and Maui is also set to be one of the first smart cities, and that's another thing up here as well that I have. But anyway, so Jump Smart Maui. Smart is about was it surveillance, monitoring? I can't remember all of it, but what SMART stands for. But anyway, Traci, thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything else you'd like to share? And please share your channel or wherever people can find you.
All right. My channel is Brush Junkie at Brush Junkie 63. You know, they put numbers on it. I'm sorry, I can't. But if you search for Brush Junkie, that's where all my content is. And I try to upload ideally 3 times a week, but usually like once or twice a week. My focus is a little different from yours and Eric's. I try to really dig into the political aspect. I feel like that's important, and touch a little bit on the more like technical things that went on, like things that were seen in the air. But at this point, I'm very 99.9% convinced that it was a man-made disaster. And I just hope more and more people can properly come to that conclusion if they learn enough about it. So that's the main message that I have.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to put your link in the description so you guys can just find it easily. Just go to the description and click on Traci's link to follow her. And the other thing that I want to say is the reason why 800 people said don't bring the tourism back and they're ignoring us is because we have to understand that the U.S. isn't a corporation. When you're a corporation, you don't have to do what your customers want, because they're not a government anymore. This hasn't been a government in a really long time. And so I am creating more videos for people to understand this. We have showed a video with the EIN number of Hawaii State, the Hawaii State in Honolulu, and then Hawaii State in the District of Columbia, which that one actually shows that it's bankrupt, which is really weird. So lots of stuff is happening that we just need to stay on top of things. And I think really, if you're watching this, be proactive with your own community, with your own city councils. Go and see what they're doing, especially their planning department, the planning department that the agenda that they're putting out. Take a look at that. Really, we have one on Big Island that's, I think, 200 pages long, and there's a group of us that are going through each section, so that we can come back together and share what's happening on Big Island, what are they doing, and everybody, in your community, in your neighborhood, you really should be looking at what does the planning department intend to do with your area. So that's my message for you guys.
Maybe think of something that I more recently heard. The plans for that the people working under Josh Green for this, new city is still going on. Just because the housing director resigned, he's replaced her with 30-ish people. So he replaced one position with 30 people to carry out this plan. So it didn't end with her.
No, yeah, and these people are not elected. These people are not elected so these people are appointed by this man, this governor, who I don't even think got in office fairly, but that's another topic. But so these are unelected people that are going to be putting through planning departments, planning agendas for the people and they're not even elected. So that's something that we all need to be standing up for. So standtogetherhawaii.com is a platform that you can go to. I do send out action steps when I know them. And the last thing I want to share is that we did submit complaints to the police commissioner against the police chief. And we had a list of reasons why he needs to be investigated. we each got a letter back stating that there was not enough evidence and that we had no standing. But I did even share the people who did give testimony on blockading and not allowing people to escape. So our next step with that, you guys, I know people have been writing to me and saying what's going on with that. Our next step is to go to the Board of Ethics, the Maui Board of Ethics, complain against them, make a complaint against the police commissioner who's not investigating the police chief. So we're just going to go up the ladder, and we just do the best we can, and then we pray.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
We're going to get through this together. It's
a lot of work, but someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you had a platform. I had a platform. It was a fitness program, fitness, which I'm still doing, but this was way more important to my heart because I knew right away as soon as that happened, I was like, they've been attacked. And because I'm from Chico, California, and Paradise is 20 minutes away. Paradise was one of my first jobs, and I went up there and saw the fires. Same exact thing. They're ash. There's no refrigerator, no stove, and the white picket fence around the neighbor's house isn't even touched. You know, it's like it's crazy. So anyway, Traci, thank you so much. I always do a prayer at the end of my interviews. So let's just go ahead and drop in. And Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things, you are beating our hearts right now, and you're beating all of our hearts with one heartbeat of humanity, all people around the world in sync together. And we just are so grateful for the light shining on the darkness, for the light that is showing the truth to those who are ready and willing to see it. And we just ask for courage, inner strength, and the guided intuition for each person who is hearing this message to do what is theirs to do. Whether that just be go to a city council member, whether that be share this video and get more people to see the truth about what has happened in Maui, that Maui was attacked. And we give so much gratitude knowing that the light of truth and of love and of harmony is coming into this world, and that the darkness is leaving this planet. The darkness that has been here for thousands of years is now being released. And what is coming for all of us is a world of peace, of oneness, that the separation that the darkness has been trying for many, many years right now, that is also dissolving, because people are realizing that we all beat with one heartbeat, that we all bleed red, the same color blood, that we are one human race. And we just give so much gratitude for the courage of Traci, for her inspiration to do what she knew was hers to do. We give so much gratitude to her, Great Spirit, and to all the people right now that are hearing my voice and hearing this message, that they also are guided to do what is theirs to do, and to do it in a way that is loving, in a way that is kind, in a way that is peaceful, that we can show this darkness. We are going to stand in the truth of love that we have for each other, the unity that we have for all ohana around the world, and the knowingness that we are guided by something that is greater and stronger than the darkness. And that is you, Great Spirit. And we know that it is absolutely done. And so it is. Thank you so much, Traci, for joining me.
Thank you so much.
And again, remember her, just click on the link below to follow her, and I'll see you guys on the next show. Much aloha.